Joining me right now is House Minority Leader Steve Scalise and Congressman Scalise. I know you want to comment on the AOC lurch to the left of the Democrat Party, but Schumer and Pelosi love to say that Trump throws temper tantrums. So they say that he's petulant, he walked out of the meeting. Well, what does this look like?
Laura, the left has become unhinged. And look, I've been in all those meetings in the Situation Room with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, the top leaders in the House and Senate. In every single meeting, the president was not only calm, but he was putting options on the table to reopen the government while securing the border. Not one single time, Laura, did they ever put an alternative on the table. Not once. And so this has been going on for almost 30 days now. The president was there during Christmas waiting. He's there now. He's been talking to the American people, and frankly, you're seeing the polling getting better and better as people find out what's really going on. They want to ride this out.
She thinks she can ride this all the way to getting Trump to cave. This is going to be Trump's no new taxes moment. By the way, I said you were House Minority Leader, whip.
Minority whip.
You're a better whip.
Republican whip.
Yeah, you're whipping those votes. She thinks this is good for her politically. So for all the crocodile tears about the workers and they're all hanging out in Puerto Rico, but the workers, and you get every difficult story of a worker not being able to pay for a bill. Every single story is showing up. It's a drumbeat, and the pressure is on the president. They mean to put the pressure on the president to cave. I don't think the president's caving.
The president has been steadfast and consistent in saying that he is going to do everything it takes to secure America's border. He's pointed out just how bad the problems are. But look, Laura, this latest stunt, and it's not even a stunt, this is unprecedented, where a Speaker of the House is uninviting a president to the State of the Union.
Do you think she's going to turn her back? Do you think they will turn? I predict there are some in this progressive new caucus who will turn their back if that president walks down the aisle.
They've tried to do everything to insult the president, to not even acknowledge that he is the president. The bottom line is the American people want to know the facts about this. They want to watch. They've been tuning in. They watched last week and then saw Schumer and Pelosi give that ridiculous look in response. I think they're seeing that it's starting to come unhinged on their side when you see more Democrat members of Congress getting really nervous about this because they're seeing people not get paychecks, and they're seeing that their party is standing up for open borders. They don't want to secure the border. That's an untenable position to hold. So to say you're not going to let the president come to the Capitol to give a State of the Union.
I thought it was the People's House.
It's never happened before.
I thought she always likes to say it's the People's House, Grandma Mimi with all the grandkids.
No.
I mean,
what
is this?
They might be holding the paychecks of government workers hostage, but now to literally hold the State of the Union hostage, Laura, that's an untenable position.
You think the president should just say, I'm coming?
I'd like to see him pick another venue, go near the border, go show exactly what's going on, not only at the border, but look, if you live in Pennsylvania, you know somebody whose son died of an overdose from heroin. 90% of the heroin's coming from the southern border. This problem affects everybody in this country. We've got to secure the border. I don't think, look, the Pelosi can try to stop the truth from coming out. I talked to Secretary of Homeland Security Nielsen this evening about this very problem. She said the Secret Service, first of all, they've been planning this.
That's a lie. Now, let's just call it what it is. They say that Trump lies. That was a lie.
The Democrats never even reached out to them to find out if this was a problem. It's not a problem. They're afraid of the facts coming out. Pelosi can't sustain this.
Cracks in the Democrat opposition to the wall.
They're feeling the heat.
They're starting
House members, some of these new House members that aren't far left like AOC, they're starting to feel the pressure.
Well,
and look, they tried to stop some of them from going to the White House the other day. That's how bad it is.
They're criticizing Clemson. They're like criticizing Clemson. These people are criticizing the National Football Champions. All right, this is Steny Hoyer on with Bret Baier today about whether the wall is immoral. Let's watch.
A wall is immoral if it tries to imprison people who shouldn't be in prison.
Okay.
A wall that protects people is not immoral.
Do you think a wall or barrier is racist?
Look, Brett.
Listen, Mr. Leader, here's the bottom line.
I don't talk in those terms. Yeah. I don't think that's the way we ought to look at it.
As I said in the angle, calling someone or something racist as a way to avoid a real substantive debate that's a weak sister move. That's a weak sister move.
And it defies the gravity of where they were. In 2006, Chuck Schumer voted not just for steel slide barriers as they want to build. Chuck Schumer and Barack Obama voted for over $50 billion. The president's asking for 1/10 of that amount.
I think the president has to stay. He has to be a wall of strength for the American people.
President Trump has been rock solid, standing up through the American people to secure the border. Look, the American people, by and large, want to get this done.
Yeah, until Nancy drops her security detail and keeps the door open, Pacific Heights, then for wherever she's living now.
Now's the time.
Okay, unlock the door to your house, and then we'll talk. Great to see you as always, Congressman. Thanks so much.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi asking President Trump a short time ago via a letter to delay his State of the Union address until the government is reopened, citing a lack of funding for the Secret Service, which is part of Homeland Security. As lawmakers from the Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus will be meeting with President Trump about 1/2 hour from now. Pelosi writing to the president, quote, sadly, given the security concerns and unless government reopens this week, I suggest that we work together to determine another suitable date after government has reopened for this address, or for you to consider delivering your State of the Union address in writing to the Congress on January 29th. Let's bring in Guy Benson, political editor for townhall.com, co-host of Benson and Harf, and a Fox News contributor. Guy, good morning to you. Is that a reasonable request of the president?
Democrats will say, yes, of course it is. We shouldn't have law enforcement professionals and Secret Service agents who aren't being paid protecting all of us while this government shutdown persists. I think what you hear from the White House and Republicans is Pelosi saying that these professionals can't do their job and persist in fulfilling their duties in the middle of this partisan disagreement? Of course they can, and it seems like Pelosi is more concerned about her own security than the security of the U.S. border, right? So I think we're going to see another round of fisticuffs on this. And my suspicion, I don't know, but my suspicion is that President Trump will say no thank you to this suggestion. I plan on showing up as invited based on the agreed upon date and time. And that will then be back in Pelosi's court to decide whether or not she wants to disinvite the President of the United States from giving the speech, at which point he would potentially have a choice to either give it from the Oval Office, maybe Mitch McConnell could invite him to the Senate, he could give it there. There would be options, but I don't think that Trump is going to play ball with this idea where Pelosi says, let's not give you an opportunity to address the entire country in prime time on this very issue with a captive audience and a lot of people standing and applauding for your points. I understand where both sides are going to argue here.
All right, we'll see where that goes, and when we get a White House response to that, we will certainly share that with everyone. Meanwhile, The Hill writes Nancy Pelosi has her troops in lockdown and are walking in step as the Democrats face off against President Trump over border security. In that piece, The Hill writes, quote, virtually every Democrat has adopted Pelosi's position of refusing to negotiate on Trump's border wall before the government is reopened. Some Democrats said that while Pelosi's handling of the standoff is commendable, the nature of the debate has given her an easy hand to play. The piece quotes Brian Higgins, a Democrat from New York, saying she's demonstrated that she is a very formidable congressional counterbalance to the White House. Is that the case, Guy?
Yeah, the Democrats seem very happy with her leadership thus far. She also just this week blocked one of her critics within her party of getting a plum seat on a committee that she was interested in. So, you know, if you come for the Queen, you better not miss, and they missed badly, her critics, that is. And she's now presiding over this fight with President Trump. I think the Democrats are united in their opposition to Trump, not so united in their opposition to physical barriers. That might be some of the cracks in the wall for the Democrats, and I know the White House is trying to exploit or highlight. But again, these moderate Democrats, many of whom have said, yes, we're open to barriers, let's do that. After we reopen the government, they unanimously rejected yesterday an invite from the president to come and negotiate. And that's, I think, a signal that the Democrats, for now, are sticking with Pelosi. They see the polls. They have an advantage politically on this issue. I think the counterpoint that Republicans ought to make and are making is, if we're going to resolve this problem, if we're going to reopen the government, negotiations and compromise is going to be necessary. Polling also shows that the American people wants compromise on this issue. That's what they're looking for. And you're not going to reach a compromise if no one is meeting with anyone from the other side of the aisle. So I guess the Problem Solvers Caucus might try to solve this problem today, but I guess my hopes are dim because right now the president's dug in and the Democrats have rallied around Pelosi.
An interesting name, and it sets expectations pretty high.
It does.
We got response from a Republican, Congressman Doug Collins, on America's Newsroom earlier to Democrats opposing the wall. Here he is.
If they're so opposed to a wall, then start putting in legislation to tear down the walls and tear down the fences at our ports of entry and at those other areas where it's already been built. If it's not needed, you can't have it both ways. You can't say it doesn't work, and you can't say that we need it.
Well, day 24 are we on now, Guy? Where does this go?
Well, yeah, I think it's 26, 25, 26.
Okay.
We're up there. I understand the point that the congressman is making. I think that could be put in the form of a question to Pelosi specifically, because some of her members have said that they're willing to go with more barriers. Many Democrats have voted for that, even in the recent past. It was Pelosi who used the word immoral to describe walls. And I would love to see reporters press her specifically on what she means by that. Why are walls immoral? And if they are, in fact, immoral, why not say tear down the existing walls if they are symbols and monuments to immorality? That's a question that I haven't heard asked of her yet. Perhaps the press corps members of them are watching our very program today and might pose that one to her at some point, because I think that's a piece of rhetoric here that makes very little sense to me and most Americans would disagree with and reject.
Well, it is Wednesday, January 26th. That makes it day 26 of this shutdown showdown. Guy Benson, thank you.
Thank you.